The day my best friend took my husband. But betrayal didn't destroy me. The night I discovered the truth, I didn't lose my marriage in a single moment. I lost the future I had imagined for my family, the dreams we built together, the promises we made before God, the friendship I believed would last forever. Everything collapsed at once. I cried until there were no tears left. But when morning came, I understood something important. I had to decide what kind of woman I wanted to become after betrayal. Would I allow pain to destroy me? Or would I fight for the person I wanted to be? As the sun rose over our home in Enugu, Emeka was still sitting in the living room. Neither of us had slept. His eyes were swollen from crying. Mine were heavy from carrying months of pain. When I entered the kitchen to prepare breakfast, I heard footsteps behind me. It was Emeka. He stood quietly for several seconds before speaking. "Chioma." I didn't turn around. "I'm sorry." I continued stirring the tea. "I know." He swallowed hard. "I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make this right." For the first time that morning, I looked at him. "You should have thought about that before." He lowered his eyes. "I know." The silence that followed felt heavier than words. That afternoon, our daughter was returning from my mother's house. Before she arrived, I wanted us to decide one thing. No matter what had happened between us, she was innocent. She deserved parents who would protect her from our mistakes. When my mother arrived with her, our daughter ran through the door with excitement. "Mommy!" She wrapped her tiny arms around me. Moments later, she ran toward Emeka. "Daddy!" He lifted her into his arms and held her tightly, longer than usual. Perhaps he finally understood how close he had come to losing everything that truly mattered. My mother watched us quietly. She immediately noticed the sadness in the room. Later, after taking our daughter outside to play, she turned to me. "Did they finally tell you the truth?" I nodded. She sighed deeply. "I'm sorry, my daughter." I leaned against her shoulder and cried again, not loudly, not dramatically, just enough to release the pain that had been living inside my heart for months. That evening, after our daughter had fallen asleep, Emeka asked if we could talk. We sat across from each other in the same living room where we had celebrated birthdays, anniversaries, and family prayers. Now it felt like a stranger's house. "I ended everything with Amaka," he said quietly. I remained silent. "I told her never to contact me again." I nodded slowly. "I believe you." He looked surprised. "You do?" "Yes, I believe you've ended it." Relief appeared on his face, but only for a moment, because I wasn't finished. "But ending it doesn't erase what happened." His shoulders dropped. "I know." I looked at him for a long time. "I don't even know who you are anymore." He covered his face with both hands. "I became someone I'm ashamed of." My eyes moved toward our wedding photograph hanging on the wall. For months, I had blamed myself. I wondered if I wasn't beautiful enough, if I worked too much, if I had failed as a wife. Tears rolled down my cheeks. But finally, I understood something. Your decision was never my failure. It was yours. He cried quietly. "I accept that. I'm the one who failed." Those words didn't heal me, but they gave me something I had needed for a very long time: the truth. Weeks later, Amaka left Enugu and moved to another city. Before leaving, she sent one final letter through a mutual friend. In that letter, she admitted everything. She wrote that it hadn't started as an affair. It started with conversations, then phone calls, then lunches, then emotional dependence. By the time they realized how wrong it had become, they had already betrayed the people who trusted them most. She never asked for forgiveness. She only apologized. After reading the letter, I folded it carefully. Then I burned it. Not because I hated her, but because I refused to allow those words to keep reopening my wounds. Some chapters must end completely before healing can begin. The months that followed were not easy. Trust does not return simply because someone says sorry. Trust grows slowly, like a tree after a storm. Emeka worked hard to rebuild what he had broken. He became more present at home. He attended church with us every Sunday. He joined me at the tailoring shop whenever he finished work early. He became completely open with his phone and schedule. He answered every painful question I asked, no matter how uncomfortable it was. Some days I believed him. Some days I didn't. Some nights I woke up remembering everything and cried all over again. Healing is not a straight line. Some days you move forward. Some days you feel as though you've moved backwards. But every step matters. One afternoon, several months later, my daughter asked me a question I will never forget. "Mummy, why were you sad for so long?" I looked at her small face and smiled softly. "Because grown-ups sometimes make mistakes." She thought for a moment. "Did Daddy make a mistake?" I looked toward Emeka. He was standing quietly near the door. "Yes, he made a very big mistake." She looked confused. "Then why are you still here?" I smiled. "Because families don't stop loving each other when life becomes difficult." She nodded as though she understood. Children often understand more than we think. Nearly a year passed. Life slowly became quieter. The pain became less sharp. The memories became less powerful. One afternoon, my daughter came running into my tailoring shop, holding a drawing she had made at school. 3 people stood together, holding hands. Above the picture, she had written 2 simple words: "My family." I stared at the drawing for a long time. Then I looked at Emeka, who had arrived to take us home. He was watching us quietly. Our eyes met. There was regret in his eyes. Pain still lived in mine, but there was also something new. Hope. Not hope that everything would return to the way it once was. That was impossible. Some things, once broken, never returned to their original form. Instead, it was hope that honesty could replace lies, that accountability could replace excuses, and that healing could become stronger than bitterness. Forgiveness did not happen overnight. It was a choice I made repeatedly, even on the days when my heart still hurt. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It means refusing to allow someone else's betrayal to control the rest of your life. As for Amaka, that friendship ended forever. Some relationships cannot survive broken trust. I prayed for her from a distance, but I never invited her back into my life. Not because I wished her harm, but because protecting your peace is not the same as holding a grudge. Today, people often see a woman who smiles easily. What they don't see are the nights I cried myself to sleep, the prayers whispered when nobody was listening, the moments I questioned my worth because of someone else's choices. But those painful days taught me lessons I will carry forever. I learned that love cannot survive where honesty is absent. I learned that friendship without loyalty is only an illusion. I learned that ignoring warning signs does not preserve peace. It only delays pain. Most importantly, I learned that my value was never determined by someone else's betrayal. If someone chooses to break your trust, do not blame yourself for their decision. Protect your heart. Value your peace. Choose people whose actions match their words. Because the strongest homes are not built on perfect people. They are built on truth, respect, loyalty, and the courage to do what is right even when nobody is watching. That is the story of how the woman I called my best friend took my husband, and how, through heartbreak, I found the strength to reclaim myself. And that, more than anything else, became the beginning of a brand new life.